bringing you another tech spotlight with our boy Martin Sadler. And I want to tell you guys kind of what brought this on. We had a contest in the Tactical Dent Tech group, and Martin did a extremely difficult door. Looks like the entire door was pretty much pushed in by one impact point. The impact point would have been, you could imagine like a corner of a shopping cart, but imagine like 10 shopping carts all connected together and then slamming into this car with like hurricane force winds. And then you see the whole door just kind of collapse in on that one point. And he actually submitted that into the contest. And as I was on YouTube, YouTube literally recommended his video that he was repairing that, right? So I sat there and watched it, and I was like, man, this guy's got the patience of a saint. And he took a lot of time really doing what needed to be done to make this thing right. So that is what, not only has he been around for a long time. I mean, I've seen Martin in the dent removal forums and all that for quite a long time, but also a stellar tech that's got a thriving YouTube channel that's growing. So I'm going to, without any further ado, Martin, welcome, my man.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you again. It's been a couple of years and you've been
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Been busy for the last couple of years, man. I've been busy slapping on some moldings on a hail car this morning, so I'm right with
Really
you.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I
good
had one
effort.
of them clients who wanted to, I said yes, but he wanted to change all his chrome moldings around his windows to black moldings,
All right.
which led to a lot of extra work and a lot of the type of work I do not like to do. So, but he was a good
Yeah.
friend, owns a roofing company, good stuff like that. So, anyhow, my man, well, I'm pretty curious because I don't remember or if you've ever, kind of told how you've gotten into the industry or if that's on your YouTube channel, but I'd like to introduce you here by you just letting us know how did you get into the dent removal industry? How long have you been a tech? What's up there?
Well, I started off as a panel beater, so I left school and got an apprenticeship at the body shop. So I did an apprenticeship as a panel beater. Learned the trade, learned how to repair panels with filler, pull them out, use filler, replace panels. So strip and fit as well. So I got quite a good understanding of how to pull cars to bits and how they're all put together as well. And then I think, what did I do? It's been a few years now. I went in the army for a few years. Then while I was in the army, my mentor who taught me how to do panel beating started PDR, learning paintless dent removal. So he said, "Hey, Martin, you need to get into this because it's the way forward." So when I got out of the army, I got my job back panel beating, but I was keen to get into PDR. So I we made a few bars together, some homemade bars, and we just practiced on every job that came into the body shop. It was a bit tough at first, and it got to a point where I could save a lot of small dents and repairs, get them to a metal finish, and then I got to a point where I didn't need to take the paintwork off, and then I was a PDR guy.
So, about how long have you been doing paintless dent removal?
I started about 2006, 2007, something like that, and then I went on my own in 2011.
Okay, awesome, man. Yeah, it looks like you got a beautiful shop there. Anybody who's
Right.
watching the video on YouTube, they could see it. If you're
Perfect.
listening to the podcast, you can check it out on YouTube. But I love the background. You got a nice metal plate back there, and it looks good, man. Looks incredible. In fact, I thought your shop looked really good. I felt like everything was organized. It was very white, if I remember
Oh
correctly.
yeah, yeah. It's very white, and there's lots of lines in there as well. So
Yeah.
it's if you're not used to it and you walk in, you can go a little bit dizzy. But I like it nice and bright.
Yeah, see, that's my dream right now. We're actually looking for a facility down here in Dallas, and specifically in Plano or maybe in Louisville, Texas. And my dream is to build this thing where I've got this vision where everything is on both sides of the car, and it's got like the craziest amount of lighting. I'm talking about putting like James Lee Dents all the way around, bolting them, and then putting that hexagon lighting above, and then
Yeah,
making sure like each side has a stool, like taking the efficiency to the next level. Like that's my
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to build. you know?
So bright you can actually see your skeleton and your shadow.
Yes. And part of that is it's like, it's going to make you more money.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
you pull a hail damage car in there, or you pull any repair, and you've got lines and natural reflection and lights coming in from all them angles. That just stops you from getting up and moving your light. So it's
Exactly.
like it's almost too logical. So I've got this thing where I'm going to figure out everything, like how to have the absolute best setup for just speed and efficiency. And I became kind of crazy about OCD over the last few years, Martin, about making sure everything is put back where it needs to be. And I wasn't like that before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm the same. OCD. It's that bad that I can't decide what to put on the walls. So flags or people's brands. I can't decide where to put them. So it's really hard, and that's why my workshop stays white
Yeah,
because I don't want to ruin. I can't. Yeah, OCD. But the same with
that's
the
right.
tools as well. All my tools, they're all in certain places. But it's a good way to be.
It is a good way to be, because I've been the exact opposite, where my whole tool cart is heaping over, and you can't hardly find a. It's like, where's the where's the 10 millimeter
That's
socket,
it.
and
Yeah.
it's like piled underneath, like all these things that are on your cart that are just, it just continues to grow. So I've had to, at one point, you got to realize it's almost like when you're speeding and you're that crazy driver and you're going past everybody, and you're about to cause wrecks everywhere you go, and then all of a sudden you pull up beside that guy at a stoplight. So it's like all that madness was, it just wasn't worth it. It just caused more chaos.
You don't want to make eye contact with them, do you?
yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. That's called shame. You don't want to look them in the eye because you're ashamed. But especially if you're the guy doing the bad driving, right? And I've also become weird as well about not putting my glue tabs on the ground. The glue tabs. I think it's because I got a little dog
Do you mean
that
the actual excess glue when you
the
peel it
excess
off?
glue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got a
No, I
spot
can't
for
do
that
that.
too now.
Yeah, always goes in my pocket, so it goes in my little container, or it ends
Okay.
up in the washing machine. One or the
That's
other.
where what would happen to me, man. My wife would be like, "Why is there these little things, this glue all over the washing machine?" And that would be me, like throwing it in the washing machine. So efficient for me, but not so efficient for her, right?
That's it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, man. Like you said, you got started in a body shop environment. I love that because them panels are going to get painted anyway. So when they
Mhm.
come in, you've got the opportunity to work on them and make them better. And if you can't
Yeah.
get it done paintless, you can just move on. How long did it take you to kind of transition from the panel beating when you first started PDR to actually kind of moving to the point to where you were pretty proficient with paintless dent removal?
Um, I can't remember exactly because it's quite a few years ago. I've had a few
Sure.
sleeps since then. It was I was just roughing stuff out at first. So
Yeah.
I had a bar, a big sharp bar that you'd stick in there and wiggle it all out because I realized that when you are pin pulling, you're obviously burning the back of the panel, and that's not good. And we did have a couple of jobs that came in a few years after we'd done the repair, especially on rear arches, because it had come through again, and that's because you get the condensation
Mm.
inside the panels. It rolls down to the bottom of the arches, and then it just rusts inside out. So I was quite aware of this, and using a bar on the inside to push the damage out, it just seemed like the best option. So I really did try to save as much as I could without the pin pullers. And then about 2007, 2008, we had the Werf rep come round with this glue pulling kit, the Werf. I don't know if you've seen it, it comes in a little grey box, and you get the glue sticks and a lifter.
Yeah.
So the boss bought that, and like any new gear.
Oh yeah, that's the red one, the red Worth
Yeah,
one.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite difficult to get used to because when you get a new tool, you use it for 5 minutes, and if you haven't bought it yourself, if the boss has bought it, you go, "Oh, this is no good," without swearing, and you chuck it to the side. But I really wanted to get used to it, and with the tabs, I'd be scratching it with a blade to try and make the glue stick better. But as we know now, it's best to polish the panel and degrease it and all this lot. So we didn't know any of that, or it was maybe in the instructions, but you don't read the instructions. So I was going into the glue. So I was using the bar, using the glue. And I think it took me, I had a bit of a lull, so I thought it's not working. I'm just going to give up for a little bit. And then I was loosely carrying on. Then one day it just clicked and I could get it.
Mm,
I could read. I actually started off with fog as well,
okay.
with a halogen light, just vertical. And then we got a crappy line board with the spray on lines, and then I could just read the reflection, and then it was just practice, practice, practice to try and get better and better,
Mm,
which took, I think it took about 4 years of self teaching while I was
yeah.
panel beating. So it did take quite a few years to actually be at that point where I could get to any vehicle, any dent, and either say yes, I can totally fix it, or no, it's not a PDR.
Yeah, yeah. So that moment that you had, I talk about that moment where all of a sudden it's crystal clear. Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing? You can
definitely.
remember can you remember where you were at in that shop when you
No,
first seen that? Okay, so
no.
I can actually remember the moment that it happened where I was.
I think it was a yellow car. I think I was doing a body line on a yellow Fiesta, a
Yeah.
yellow Ford right at the bottom. That's in my memory, but
I was
yeah,
doing a red
go for
car and I was in Xenia, Ohio at Alan Besco's auto sales. And I just remember to this day, like I was like bummed out, man. I'm trying to fix these dents. None of them are really coming out that great,
yeah,
but good enough for wholesale.
yeah,
And so all of a sudden, one day I was working on that quarter panel, and bam, it's like I knew it. Like I seen the light, I seen the vision, I seen where my tool was, and like everything just clicked. So I had that same
yeah.
moment. I was almost scared, bro, that I was going to lose it when I went to bed that night.
Really, yeah,
Yeah. So I remember like waking up in the morning going, oh man, I gotta get outside. I gotta go push a dent right now because I'm afraid that I'm gonna lose it. And
yeah,
what I just learned. So that's how important that moment is. And I talk about that in the book that that's being edited right now. And I talk about that's my purpose of this book is to get people to have that moment, to get people to have that click,
yeah. You just
much
got to keep
faster.
going. Just got to
Yeah,
keep going, keep at it. Whether you're, at a training facility, or if you're self training, or if you're just practicing and practicing. If you
yeah,
think you're not going to get there, you just got to keep going for it. Maybe
you do.
try something, try and tweak it. But you will get there, definitely.
You do, you do, you do. So let's talk a little bit about the repair that you entered into the contest over in the Tactical Dent Tech group.
Okay.
Um, that was quite a job. And so tell me a little bit about first off, do you even know how that dent happened? And tell me a little bit about your approach to that because I initially, you had damage and you had a ton of indirect damage, right? So you had your
Mhm.
direct damage and your indirect damage, and you
Yeah.
kind of worked the indirect damage first. And I wondered if shrinking that because the problem is with that is like you could have got it all done, and then that one little hard pocket could have
Yeah.
gave you trouble, could have cracked. I mean, it was right on that borderline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in my mind, I would have probably tried to shrink that first while it was held under all that tension to see if I could just flatten it out. So
Yeah.
just so I at least had that confidence and I knew that this thing wasn't going to crack on me, you
Yeah.
know? So tell me a little bit about your approach because I love everybody skins a cat different. There's multiple ways to skin this cat. So tell me a little bit about your approach and why you did it the way you did it.
Yeah, those poor cats, eh?
That's right.
So yeah, the vehicle was a friend of mine's. So he really didn't want the car painting. He didn't want a new panel, and he thought it'd be horrible and give me it to fix. So I had a look at it. I thought it, I took the job on the was it proviso or whatever, on the condition that I'll get it as best as I can, but it is more than likely going to, need paintwork some sort. If I can stretch the panel out and get it flat, but leave the two dents, then that's as good as I can get it. We arranged a price, for the amount of days that I'm going to go on it. So, I kind of had the backing of it'll be best possible, but let's see how we can get it. So what had happened was a vehicle had reversed into it at slow speed, something like a pickup or a flatbed truck. It just reversed really slowly and just nudged it, but that was enough to totally cave the door in, and make those two sharp dents. So yeah, I had recently picked up the JVF Tools retention system as well, and I thought, right, this is definitely the job for for using this tool. So yeah, I kind of went into it on the condition that I'll get it best possible. So I stripped the door. I had to stretch it. I thought if I can kind of straighten it out, get the panel out, then I can do all the corners. So that's what I did. And then I was looking at the two sharp dents in the center, and I thought, well, do I try and fix these or do I not? And I thought, there's no way these are going to come out, but I will give it a shot. They were super tough to take out. It took me hours and hours. I was literally, what was I doing? I was like indirectly dollying with a puck tip and a
Mm.
hammer. That kind of worked, but then it started going volcano-y. So I was heating it up, cooling it down. I was using panel beater, hammer and dollies. I was using the planishing file to try and push, try and tap it, but push the metal away from the centers.
Mm.
Um, and then I hit it with the shrinking tool, and like I say, it took about 10 hours to kind of gain control of it. And then in the end, I managed to fix it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. If there ever was an oil canner, that was an oil canner.
It certainly was,
And
yeah.
if there ever, and it was my objective in life to figure out oil can dents early
Yeah,
on. And
I enjoy them. I love them. They are really interesting to do. They take a lot of time, but they
yeah,
are interesting and rewarding.
and I think that you approached it correctly with especially the circumstances. You had a friend that already knew. I would have told anybody that though, like any client or customer, be like, I can do what I can do, but I
Yeah,
ain't going to guarantee that this thing's going to
that's it.
come out. And you're going to have to pay for my labor, or else with that one would just have to go down the
That's
road.
it. You've got to be paid for the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
can't
I
spend
was
a couple
fortunate.
days or a day or whatever on something and just, say, "Oh, well, I couldn't get it, so I'm out and you're out," you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So it is one of them situations where the gamble is gonna be on them. You know
yes,
what I mean?
that's it. Yeah,
The gamble is gonna be on them, and so, no, I understand now why you brought it up that way.
yeah.
But to talk about the oil can dents, what's incredible about oil can dents is people never really think about this, but you don't see oil can dents on rails very often unless you got,
Mm,
like, the very back of a rail where it's kinda like a minivan and it's flat.
yeah.
So on them hard surfaces that are convex, you don't see oil cans, and that's because the actual metal can absorb the pressure. Now, them
Mhm.
flimsy doors, I mean, that surrounding metal has a very hard time
Mm,
accepting the pressure of that dent being pushed back into it. So, I
yeah,
think coming at it with the approach where you were doing some lateral tension to begin with to get some of that pressure going in the right direction,
definitely.
you
Yeah,
know, was a great idea. One of the things that we
yeah.
started doing with oil cans, like let's say we had one near a brace, we take a window wedge and just slam it in there, like right beside it, tightening up that panel,
Mhm.
getting that panel
Yeah,
nice and tight so it's not flimsy and it's not moving while you're pushing it.
yeah.
So that's typically part of my objective. Or if you can even put we would put hood props in beside it, or even if you have no other options at all, you can connect a mini lifter, get a nice big Atlas glue tab it up right beside it, get the feet of the mini lifter right beside it, and just tighten it up. So it
That's it.
gives you some sort of stability in that panel while you're actually pushing that dent. Um,
I even remember one of your old training videos where he's doing a roof and you put the prop from the floor to the
yes.
roof. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my dude. I learned that from Seth Byerly, a savage hail tech that came out and worked with me. And we call it the prop rod technique, but that was a game changer for a lot of them oil can dents because again, it stiffens up the panel.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't do much with an old flimsy panel with a big old deep dent. It's
No.
just not going to receive it. Something's going to happen. It's going to be bad.
Again, you just need to keep at it as well, even if you think it. Well, I mean, it all
Yeah.
comes down to time and money as well, but you just need to try and keep at
Yeah.
shrinking and maybe even using lateral tension. That's
Yeah.
the one thing I don't think I used it on those small deep dents. I should have maybe added lateral tension
Maybe
to it.
added it around it as you were
Yeah,
pushing it so it could
I was.
pull it tight.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a
I was
great
trying.
idea.
I was trying lots of things.
Of
I was
course.
the door was on a stand, and I was walking
Yeah.
around it multiple times, and
Especially
trying
after all that
anything
video
and
work.
everything. Say that again. Sorry.
All the video work that you did. The problem
Oh,
with it is if you didn't finish it off, then now you got all this video work in it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that one I didn't actually film it properly. It was only um, I kind of filmed it just to say, look, this is what it is, and
Yeah.
then I only took a few different edits. I only filmed it a few different times, but I managed to
Yeah.
make a decent video out of it. So yeah, I should maybe do that in future instead of free cameras and everything all the time.
Oh, that was a good quality video. I liked it.
Thank you.
It's interesting because you use the Power PDR box on it or something similar. And I still say the reason why that works is again, it doesn't give like it doesn't put the type of pressure a tool does on the bottom of that dent. It'll
Mm,
pick a little high spot, but it doesn't put the pressure that flows into the perimeter.
yeah.
So it's kind of like isolating with them little pick spots. It does give a little bit of pressure though, enough to where you can still oil can run with it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
you
and
know?
again, the Power PDR box, it is, it's an amazing tool. There's a few other tools out there, electronic tools out
Yeah.
there. I've even got the old big dent machine, and I'm sure it's just an
Oh
arc
yeah.
welder and a carbon rod,
Oh,
but
I
it
remember
still
that.
works. Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
gotta go careful
Interesting.
with
And
that.
what did you see? The very first tutorial that I did on it. So Ray Sapnew is the one who taught me that technique. This is before any of the machines came out.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Ray was up at my shop and I had one of them big long screwdrivers, almost like the ones, the ones Dent Wizard carry around, right? And so I ended up, we hooked up the positive of the screwdriver, hooked up the positive and negative to an old dead, had to be an old dead battery, like one that just hadn't been charged. And
Right.
you can connect it directly into it, ground that panel, ground it, and then bam, you were off to the races with that thing. Now the problem with it is the reason why they use them carbon rods covered in is it like copper covered carbon
Yeah,
rod
yeah, yeah.
is because they won't stick to the panel. The screwdriver will get hot enough where it'll stick a little bit, like it'll it'll start to weld itself to the panel is what it'll
And
do.
that's what you don't want. That no,
Yeah,
definitely
you can pull it off, but it's harder, way harder to control. I can remember little Indian smoke signals coming from the top of the paint on,
not.
like a little,
Yeah,
it
that's it. You
didn't
see a
burn the
little bubble,
paint.
don't you? Bubble, it goes.
It didn't burn the paint, but it looked like little Indians lived there and they were doing smoke signals out of their, their teepees. And,
Yeah. You've
so
gone too far. You've gone too
yeah,
far.
so that was to me that was the beginning, and then you had to worry about it arching on the side. So if you touch the inside frame or something like that, you'd sparks galore. So you had to worry about all that. But that's where I first learned it. And then, of course, I tell everybody. So, I tell Ray, hey, if you tell me this, bro, I'm going to tell everybody. He's like, I don't care if you tell everybody. And so that right there is where I first learned it. But
Yeah.
man, what a repair. So awesome. Well, I got a question for you. And this is a new question that I'm testing. And I think it'd be a perfect situation for you to explain what you would do. So let's just say that you left where you're at and you went to another planet, okay? Just like Earth, same type of people around you. You were put in the same environment here where you're at right now. But let's just say that your rent was covered. You had an apartment there. Your rent was covered. Your food was covered. You were given $2,000 and a set of tools, and you didn't know anybody. So you're new, same environment, same place, just like Earth, and you're new. How would you start your dent removal business over again, or what would you do? How would you start it?
I don't know. Advertising wise or just anything?
Anything.
Anything.
You only got a couple grand to work with. Remember that.
Couple
So
of grand to work with. I would probably get a taxi to the local car dealer or a car park, or buy a small car, stick a load of dents in it in front of everybody, and I'd grab their attention and then start taking the dents out and then give them a few business cards. I don't know.
you just go around from place to place to place doing that.
Well, it gets people's attention quick, and it'll get your name out there. So that's the best thing that I can think of at the moment.
That's an incredible idea. You could actually take it and just rent a rental car,
Yeah,
put
there
your
you go.
tools in the back
Get a
of it,
rental car.
and go
Yes,
sit in front of like a shopping center and put a bunch of
exactly.
dents in it and just go out there,
In between the car park.
take a
Yeah.
couple $100, buy yourself a little sign,
Yeah, there you go. See, easy peasy.
go to the library, get yourself a Google map set up, real
Yeah,
quick.
that's it. Yeah, yeah,
Build a cheap website on GoDaddy, right? So there's all kinds of little things that you'd have to do that. Now I say that, and I ask this question because I do want to hear everybody's response. But I also asked this question because there's a lot of guys out there that've been traveling around doing hail, and we've got an aging group of individuals who want to come home. You know,
Hmm.
they want to work from home. So essentially, they're in a very similar situation. You know, maybe they have more money than a couple $1,000s, right? But
Yeah.
these guys want to come home and work at home, maybe get a shop. And I just
Mm.
think it's a way that we can inspire each other to come up with ideas to help all the guys out who might want to even move to another place. Like right now, I moved to, Plano, Texas. And, I hadn't, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about opening up a dent removal company. We're doing a training company and we're
Mhm.
opening up a dent removal company. It has to go hand in hand. You know, you need the cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't thought about it, but I was like, dude, I'm going to film a documentary because I'm in the most saturated market in the United States. I'm already crushing it. And, but I'm going to let people know because, like, I'll do anything, Martin, ethically. I will walk into every shop, and if I'm not taking anything from anybody, but I will. It's just what you got to do. I'll go every
Mm.
place, any place possible, imaginable, and it's quite the journey. And I'm doing a documentary of this so that way I can share with the guys of what you really got to do to crack into a market. So if I can do it here in Dallas Fort Worth, and I guarantee you, I'm already doing it. It's happening. Then I can guarantee that you can take it to anywhere in the United States, and
And
you can
just, yeah,
get a
put it
good
into
business started
practice. Yeah.
with paintless dent removal.
I mean, you could do leaflet drops, or like you say, you Google my business. Um, I've actually just opened up another business with my wife, so we're trying to get this off the ground. So we're doing a Google ads. We've got the website. The website's been made industry specific, so we've got all the tags, and you know yourself because
Yeah,
you do websites. So we've gone with a developer that's in that niche.
that's good.
So that helps. Yeah, it's a bit slow to taking off, but we're doing flyer drops soon. We'll do demo days, and I've even got her onto YouTube as well. So
That's
she's a
awesome.
natural.
So, what kind of business is it that you're opening, if you don't mind?
She's a reflexology, clinical reflexologist. So
Oh,
she's been studying hard, and she knows everything, and she's going to smash it.
oh,
We're
that is
just trying
incredible.
to shout the word out that she's open.
That's such a need for that, brother. I use reflexologist as well. It's incredible. And you know how it is in the paintless dent removal. You're lucky you can just go
I
home
know,
and get
I know.
your
Getting
back
hands
fixed
on.
up because yeah, yeah, and so that's a good thing because as a dent technician, you quickly find out you're like a pretzel half the time, and
Yeah,
that'll take a toll on you after a little while. So,
definitely. Yeah, there you go.
well, right on, brother. Well, it was great having you, Martin. And can you tell any of the audience who might be listening to this, maybe where your YouTube channel is, how to find you on Instagram, anything like that?
Yeah, just dent remover. We've got dent remover Beverly for Instagram. I'm on TikTok, and dent remover on YouTube. Just dent remover anything. Yeah, but YouTube's the best because I keep on popping all my big repairs on there. And I need to start doing some small dent videos so I can get the small dents coming in as well.
Yeah, you find that, dude. You start doing the
I
big dent
do.
removals.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like start doing
Again,
door
I just
dings.
yeah. So was interrupted earlier on, me and you, because I had a customer.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But that was, I can save a quarter panel and the door, and she'd been given a price over £1,000 for a door, and I've got that job. It's not pretty stuff that I'm fixing, but I can fix it and make the customer happy.
That's it, my man. I appreciate you. So, all right, Martin. Again, I appreciate you for coming along as the tactical dent tech spotlight tech, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.